Welcome to Celluloid Chronicles,
a historical movie podcast.
I'm Brick.
I'm Birdy. And today we are talking about Ever After. I'm very excited about this.
One of my favorite movies. I didn't think about it. I've never really thought how many times I've watched this movie, but when I was writing it, I realized I was jumping way ahead, writing down okay, now this is going to happen, and then that's going to happen, and then...
Oh yeah, I knew this movie, and I was thinking ahead to covering this movie, and I was like, oh, this part, and this part, and this part, and then when I actually rewatched it, I was like, oh man, there is way more to this. I have so many sources for this, actually.
That's cool.
It's kind of ridiculous. But obviously, in the beginning, we shall tell you there actually is some trigger warnings.
I would not have thought of it.
I would not. I thought it was going to be another Persuasion-esque situation. There is discussions of slavery and abuse.
It's strange. Up until the notes for it, I never really thought about the fact that Maurice was being sold into slavery. But it just didn't occur.
I didn't think about that either when I first watched it.
Yeah. Which, goes to my very next thought was, oh, that's the white privilege for you.
Yeah,
we don't
it
think
absolutely
about that.
is. And I made sure to cover a bit about that. This very historically fictionalized era is technically in the early 1500s. Beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. Pre-transatlantic slave trade. We'll be touching on that. So I definitely wanted to cover that and the historical revisionism of it all.
Yes. This was pure entertainment.
This was pure entertainment. This is kind of like when we covered The Favorite. Mm-hmm. We did not look at this as a biopic situation. I'm looking at it from that's really interesting. I didn't realize they were touching on that, even though it's completely fiction. And it's really looking at it through later lens. Right? And a completely different lens than when I first watched it. When I first watched it, looking back, I don't even think I realized they were talking about France, right? I didn't even realize they were talking about an actual country.
I think I just assumed England. When I was younger.
It was some amalgamation of England and France in my brain, and I wasn't thinking about it.
Well, and even though they say France, I think a few times, but I'm pretty sure that I always just assumed it was England for a really long time.
And the way they pronounce things, too, was very French. But also, being a historical person, they spoke French in the English court at that time. So I don't know.
So something I've been noticing a lot for doing research when we're watching the movies, I see a lot of people talking about they're having historic conversations through modern language.
Yes.
And there are movies where that is super obvious. It's not so much obvious here. It doesn't feel like you're talking to, I don't know. I don't quite know how to explain it. A book that I was reading recently and pissed me off. I was looking up reviews and somebody said that it reads like somebody's Instagram page. Yeah, and they were right. It's oh yeah, that's why it feels so fucking... Yeah. So yeah, even though they're talking about modern things, about feminism and equality, it doesn't feel like you're talking to somebody from a modern lens.
This movie is very interesting. Gotta say, it's definitely done better than some recent historical fiction.
Yeah.
So the way I took this movie, all right, and they framed it this way, is it's history through a folktale, through history into a folktale into reality. Right?
Yeah.
It's filter upon filter.
Right.
We love this movie because we grew up with it. What year is this?
98.
I was 10 years old. It was a perfect time.
Yep, I was 11.
Yeah, we definitely have a little bit of rose-colored glasses on for a movie of this era.
Oh, yeah.
But also it's a good movie. Yeah. I didn't see anything really negative about it.
The only thing that I think somebody might be well, that doesn't quite hold up is the Romani. When they
yes, I'm going to touch on that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of that was oh, that didn't quite age well.
I think that is the main thing that did not age well, and I will talk about that.
And it does pass the Bechdel test.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Okay, that's cool. Do you want to tell us what the Bechdel test is real quick?
It is at least two women with named characters having a conversation, and I believe it's 3 sentences, at least 3 sentences that is not about a man.
Yes, I believe that is correct.
And I don't know if there's more than one scene. What I saw just talked about one, and it's when they're discussing what to wear to the ball and her mother's, Danielle's
there was
mother's
no
dress.
men involved. No.
Nope, they weren't talking about Henry at that point. Yeah, I think there might be another.
I think so, because probably the breakfast scene when they were talking about, I mean, it's definitely abuse, but it's not about men.
Yep. So yeah,
it's
that's
women
probably
to
one
women.
too. Yep.
Or even between the nasty bitches and the servants, right? There's probably a few.
Yeah, I was very happy when I saw that. It made me realize I need a movie podcast I used to listen to and I haven't listened to in a very long time, the Bechdel cast.
Ooh, I didn't know about that one. So
that's a good one.
Okay. Brick, please tell us about this extraordinary movie.
Yes, so this is a 1998 and it was written and directed by Andy Tennant, who he worked with Drew Barrymore a few times, I didn't realize. So this movie opens with two men who we find are the Brothers Grimm, and they come in a carriage to this palace, and it's like a vaguely royal lady. I mean, it's the grand dame.
It's so vague.
Yeah, I have no idea, like, who the hell she's supposed to be.
The grand dame.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, like, where she is on the succession, but whatever.
I'll get to that.
Okay. She's called them to me. I think she's dying, by the way.
I was trying to pay attention. You see, like, two younger women.
Yeah, like,
you can't tell if they're servants or like feminine relatives or something, crying a little bit, but...
And when I was younger, all the little bottles and boxes on her table, I remember thinking, like, that's a lot of perfume, but now...
No, it's probably medicine.
Yeah,
so I think there's, like, unspoken that she's reaching the end of her life, and the Brothers Grimm are available. She wants to set some shit straight. This is how she's gonna do it, but she still seems very spry in that bed, doesn't she?
Yeah, like, if she's dying, it ain't gonna be the next day.
It's not today.
She tells them that she enjoys their stories, their collection of fairy tales, but except for the little Cinder Girl, or otherwise Cinderella, and at first, I like the one kind of looked offended, like, excuse me. But they're talking about, oh, nobody knows the truth of the story. We don't know what the slipper is made of. But she pulls out what would be the glass slipper, and it's like this really pretty silver embroidered slipper
with no back, which I don't understand.
Yeah, that's not going to stay on.
That's not going to stay on my foot.
And any millennials, if you remember wearing those fucking plastic, do you remember wearing those plastic sandals?
I never wore them, but I saw them.
Oh God, I think they were
because I would not wear those.
Yeah, I think they were called jellies.
Yeah, jellies.
Oh my God. I remember
there's just like this plastic bit that goes over your foot, and you're supposed to like hold it on your foot. And
then your feet start to sweat and they're sliding all over and your feet start poking out the little holes.
Never understood them.
Yeah, they're disgusting and your feet stink.
It's about as bad as Crocs. Sorry.
Yeah. So hopefully not a stinky jelly glass slipper.
No, there looked like there was some nice satin in there.
Yeah. One of the men points out a painting. This is based off of an actual
painting.
I'll get to that. Superimposed Drew Barrymore's face.
They did. It's a different painting.
Yeah. And they did okay. They did pretty good. But,
it's cute. It looks like her, though. It does look like her.
She tells them that the woman in the painting was named Danielle de Barbarat. The glass slipper was hers. So she is the Cinderella of this legend. And she starts to tell them her story.
I'm gonna just burst in here like I need to explain who the Brothers Grimm is, but just in case, you probably know them as the folks who basically presented to the world all our fairy tales, all our Disney fairy tales, right? Most people know them as the ones who came up with like Cinderella, which is what we're talking about today, Snow White, Red Riding Hood, and the Little Piggies. All those little folk tales. But maybe people don't know how they came up. They grew up in the town of Hanau in Germany, in the Landgraviate of Hesse-Kassel. I probably pronounced that terribly. I haven't studied German in like 15 years. So their father's death in 1796, when Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm were 11 and 10. That actually caused great debts and poverty for the family. They basically spent the rest of their lives trying to help their family by doing what they did. They never actually earned a lot of money from this, as famous as they are. I'm not going to dive into a whole biography of them because there's actually a couple other movies that maybe we might get to someday that may touch on their story far better than we will here. Both brothers actually attended Marburg University, and that is where they actually developed their curiosity about German folklore and their dedication to collecting German folktales. So back in the 19th century, the 1800s, Romanticism was a thing that truly revived interest in traditional folk stories from all over Europe. And this is where we end up getting a lot of them from. And it's actually the Brothers Grimm that attributed this pure form of national literature and national culture to these stories that they could collect from regular people. So, you know, we have all these highfalutin historical stories and legends that, you know, kind of pervaded the Middle Ages. There was so many stories that just came from regular peasant folk, quote unquote, that were just looked over. So that's actually what the Brothers Grimm did. They looked into the people's stories, basically. And so they established a methodology for collecting and recording these folk stories. And that became the basis for folklore studies as we know them today. So between 1812 and 1857 was their first collection of stories, and it became revised and republished many times and grew from 86 initial stories to more than 200 stories. I can't even name, I can name 5 of them, right? You know, it's something that I always actually planned to do was actually look at all the folklore that they found, but now I feel like I really need to. 200 stories?
Yeah, I would never guess that.
And then in addition to writing and modifying all these folktales, they actually wrote collections of Germanic and Scandinavian mythologies. So that is on top of the folklore.
Okay.
The Grimm brothers, they did a lot. So the popularity of the Grimms collected folktales, they've obviously endured, and there's been over 100 translations of their stories throughout the world, and obviously have been adapted by basically everyone. Those stories, just look at most, rom-coms, folktales, anime, every genre has probably taken one of their fairy tales and turned it into a story. Because
I know horror quite a bit.
all the time. Because actually, traditionally, most of these folktales are kind of horrific.
And it's an older comic, and I do not remember the name of the artist. There was a comic series that I really, really liked called Nightmares and Fairy Tales. And they used a lot of old fairy tales, folk tales as their basis for each issue. And when I hear Annabelle, I think of Annabelle the doll from that comic series instead of the Conjuring one.
Oh, okay. Sadly, these stories were also used by Nazi Germany in their propaganda. These stories continue to hold value all the way to today and feeds into every interpretation of life and storytelling that we consume. And all this despite the sexuality, cruelty, and violence in some of these tales' original versions that even the Grimm brothers censored in their original tellings. So there's definitely folklorists and anthropologists and historians today that dig further beyond where the Grimm brothers picked these tales up to find even more fucked up versions. Jesus. There's a channel actually on YouTube. His name's John Solo, Jonsolo, and he does messed up origins, and he talks a lot about folk tales and mythologies and their original origins. and he talks about the Grimm brothers a lot, how it's even more fucked up than we think they would be. To touch on when they were actually in France, based on the movie, we see them coming to France based on a letter that the Grande Dame sent to tell the true story, but it's not very clear.
Well, now, you see, now that you say that, I absolutely assumed it was England growing up, and it did not occur to me that they were in a foreign country. So yeah,
Fully.
I thought it was just a bunch of English people talking to English people in England that for some reason they referred to as France, and I never fucking thought about.
I mean, technically, even if they were in England, they'd still be in a foreign country because they're from Germany.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My mind just glossed right over all that.
Yeah, they were in France briefly. They were in France like 1814, 1815 after Napoleon Bonaparte's defeat. They went there to retrieve German cultural treasures taken by the French. Some people may not realize that Germany is literally on the border of France.
Yes, I never think about that.
Yep. France and Germany are literally next to each other because they're so different cultures, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happens in my head too, is like, these are so different cultures. They're so far away from each other. No, they're literally next to each other, and they're like right across a rather large river from England in a way. The Channel.
Yeah.
You've heard of the Channel? Crossing the Channel, that's England.
Kind of like Russia is technically considered an Asian country.
Yeah.
Which
Euro-Asian.
The first time I found that out, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, when you think about actual geography, it's all way smaller than you think it will be. So I just putting that out there because people are like, well, why did they have to go to France to retrieve German cultural artifacts? And also during this time, I think Germany was not really Germany at this time. I think it was still kind of this weird amalgamation. That's a word. Amalgamation of territories and states and little duchies and things like that. But the Grimms lived in Hesse Castle, which was occupied by France at one point, and it became the Kingdom of Westphalia under Napoleon Bonaparte's brother, Jerome Bonaparte, which, you never hear about him. But he was considered a king. Never heard of him.
Never heard of him, not once.
Right next door to France, right? And Jakob, and I'm pronouncing his name in the German the way they would have pronounced it. It's Jacob in our English telling, but it's Jakob Grimm in German. So he actually served as a librarian for King Jerome Bonaparte.
Okay. Imagine being royalty and you're still not your brother's still more famous than you.
Yeah.
That would suck.
I mean, technically his brother was the emperor, which in some circles would be higher than a king.
Okay, that's a good point.
But
I always forget that he was technically an emperor. I always forget
he was
that.
technically an emperor.
I don't know why I can never remember that.
He'd be so mad. So, not that we care. So Jakob Grimm served as a librarian for this King Jerome, and he managing the state council duties amidst the French administration, and this French presence spurred the brothers Grimm's desire to preserve German culture through folklore, obviously, because they don't want to be taken over by French ways and French dominance, and they wanted to solidify that German identity. And actually back in 1805, Jakob traveled to Paris to assist jurist Friedrich Karl von Savigny, who was working on medieval manuscripts at the Bibliothèque Nationale. So there's a lot of back and forth happening here, but from the beginning, they were just trying to preserve German heritage, and not in the bad way. While they spent what little time they did in France, they actually helped other authors and took inspiration from previous authors, which actually helped preserve French heritage as well. So the famous French author Alexandre Dumas, he actually ended up adapting some of the Grimm's tales and renaming them La Deux Frères, the Two Brothers, and He did that without crediting the Grimm's brothers. But that just kind of showed how these tales just circulated around a lot. So, but he took inspiration from the Grimm's brothers, and then the Grimm's brothers took inspiration from Charles Perrault, who you'll probably hear that name. That's where like he originally found like a lot of the Cinderella stories and some of the other Sleeping Beauty.
Okay.
All the more French, Beauty and the Beast.
Like Swan Princess.
Swan Princess, all the super French ones, folk tales. Perrault had a lot to do with that. He was a French Huguenot informant, and he actually got a lot of his information from two sisters, who I'll probably cover in my outtake episode, the Hassenflug sisters, who helped the Grimm brothers a lot, but are never credited and are forgotten. It's just shocking, right? Two women forgotten. But anyway, they told the Grimm's brothers tales like Little Red Riding Hood, and had likely learned them from earlier French sources, Perrault. So eventually the brothers Grimm, so Jacob lived from 1785 to 1863, and Wilhelm lived from 1786 to 1859, and their first collection of folk tales, children's and household tales, Kinder und Hausmarken, was first published in 1812. So that gives you like a little bit of the timeline of when this supposed meeting of the brothers and the Grande Dame would have taken place.
Okay.
So, and based on like how young they looked in the film, which Jacob, so good, those eyes and that hair, and based on when they might have been in France. So we're talking, 18. Yeah, I think they kind of placed it pretty well within the 1815-ish time frame. Okay.
Well, and that kind of answers a question I had when she says that the painting hung until the Revolution.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it with my husband, and I said, I wonder if they're talking about like Marie Antoinette. Mm-hmm. He said, well, France had a few revolutions.
They did.
But okay, like, it's a movie, so we're talking about the choppy revolution.
Yes, we're talking about the choppy chop revolution. Yes. I believe that's what they were talking about, and I'll have more on that later. So, Will, do you want to take us into the story proper?
Yes. Now the Grande Dame has started telling the story of Danielle de Barbarat. And Danielle's story starts when she was 8 years old, and she has been living with her father. Her mother has passed away. We don't know when or why, but her father has remarried, and he is bringing home his new wife and her 2 daughters. The servants who Danielle would have grown up knowing, Louise and Paulette, are getting her dressed, getting her ready, and while she's all dressed up, her friend shows up, Gustave. Danielle is a tomboy, so when he sees her in a dress, his first reaction is, "You look like a girl.
You look like a girl."
And Danielle ends up, taking off. They're going to get in a mud fight. But outside, the other servant who she will have known all her life, Maurice, he's getting all the servants rounded up, getting them ready. Her father, Auguste, is coming in on his horse. Auguste is telling Maurice that he's brought the family. And as they come out, we immediately get an idea of their personalities, which I'd never really caught until...
I did not catch until this moment.
And first one out is Marguerite, who rolls her eyes, looks at the house and rolls her eyes. Never caught that before.
Nope.
And then Jacqueline, who looks adorable and shy. Mm-hmm. And then Angelica fucking Houston.
Yes.
Who comes out with the eyebrow raised, and she's got the little pinky out. Very Morticia Addams, but not in the, oh, I love you Morticia Addams way.
It's evil Morticia.
Yes.
No, because just Angelica Houston, she was never in enough movies.
No.
Because,
and
headdress.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
Which is not, we don't even get into fashion inaccuracy here, but like that
There's
hat.
A lot of inaccuracy.
Oh my God, that hat.
But she looks beautiful.
It's a goddamn exacerbated one of those headbands now that they have for the makeup headbands.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays, like, I didn't think about this back then, but all I can think now is, like, it's an exaggerated pillow headband like they have now for those makeup things that I can't even imagine wearing.
It looks like it would make my head sweat.
Yeah.
I love that she looks around and she says, "Oh, Auguste, it's positively charming." And in my notes, I wrote that's ye old bitch for, "Is this it?"
Yep. I mean, that's what the girls were saying. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Danielle runs up. She's covered in mud, but we see that Gustav is absolutely head to toe covered in mud. But anyways, so we get a little idea of each of their personalities right out, which I appreciate.
Also, the kids playing in those roles must have just loved that.
I know, right? And that night, her father gives her a book, Utopia by Thomas More, which I think Birdy will touch on later. And we do find out later that this is a common thing for them. He reads to her at night. He brings her home books. It's a passion that they share, which is very sweet. And he tells her that he's leaving in 2 weeks.
My vague assumption is that he's a merchant, is my kind of feeling here, because they keep saying peasant commoner, which would be a merchant. He's marrying above his station, which is a baroness, which is like not common either. Like, did she marry into a barony, or was she part of a barony? Is she bringing the title? Is she losing it? You know, there's a lot of questions here. Yeah. But again, it's that kind of movie.
So, and when he's getting ready to leave, we see them, it's 2 weeks later, and while he's getting ready, he keeps gripping at his left arm.
But now I know exactly what that is.
So as he's riding away, and Danielle, she runs up, she's going to, I guess it's tradition for them to wave at the gate, so she's waiting for him, but he never even makes it to the gate. He hunches over and he falls off the horse. He's having a heart attack. Danielle, she's of course, immediately starts screaming. And the Baroness, she comes running out. They both run over to him. And I can't really understand why she would be upset about this, because she doesn't know him. Anyway, he looks at the Baroness, and then he looks at Danielle, his daughter, and tells her he loves her. Yeah. And the Baroness looks upset by this. And I guess I don't know.
I think just in the... She did marry him.
Yeah.
So
she does say later on that she barely knew him, though.
Barely knew him, but I think back then, there's expectations.
Yeah. You were expected to love and honor and all that.
Yeah, which was what she was expected to do. Yeah. And she was taking on a place within his life. Yeah. And they must have had moments together. Because,
I would hope.
Obviously he married her before they arrived, and the way they interact, there's some knowledge there. So I think that's she played it well. I mean, Angelica Houston, the actress, played it well of I don't know how to feel in this moment. And obviously the way she was upset, she kept saying, "Don't leave me here."
Yeah.
Which obviously may have upset her more than losing him as a love interest, but losing him as a partner that she was expecting to...
Well, that makes sense, because she married him and there was going to be some security there, and now that's gone.
Which obviously she did lose, because money did become a problem later in the movie. So, she keeps saying, "Don't leave me here." She's losing what she was expecting from this marriage.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, I guess I can give her some grace.
Yeah.
He passes, and we skip ahead 10 years. And just in the interest of keeping things kind of streamlined, past episodes I just kind of did scene by scene, but for this I'm going to try to keep things condensed. 10 years go by, and Danielle is now a servant in her father's house. We see her wake up. She's fallen asleep by the fireplace. She's reading Utopia. She goes and she starts her day. And at the palace, we see the king and the queen, and they are on their way to their son Henry's room, because the king has been negotiating a marriage treaty with Spain. Apparently, Henry is not on board with this, and the king has decided that if he can't sleep, neither can I. So he's going to go wake him up. But they get in there and he's already gone. And they've got he's got the knotted sheet out the window. Yeah,
knotted sheet trope. Yeah.
And he's climbed out the window.
Which would never work. I've tried, believe me. No, let me tell you, it ended badly. Anyway.
No. At some point, his horse must have cast a shoe, I think he says. But he...
Thrown a shoe.
And he has taken Danielle's father's horse, and she sees him coming through the fields, and she just starts fucking whipping apples at him.
Yep.
Which is fantastic. And she, of course, she has no idea who he is. And she gets him with a good one. He falls off his horse. And when he gets up and she realizes that it's the prince, she's, of course, she drops down. She's scared. And, I didn't...
must die.
Forgive me, I didn't see you. And she points out, for that I know I must die because she has struck a royal. And I love that he's tell no one and I shall be lenient. He's rolling his eyes.
Like he doesn't realize the impact of his own actions. And he's like,
oh shit.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
We're cool. Don't say anything. We're cool. It's fine.
Money.
Yes.
Money. Throw money at the problem.
Yes. He takes out a bag of gold coins, which you find out later is like 20 gold coins.
It's like a lot of money.
A lot of money. And he just pours it on her back, which is so weird.
Pours it.
But, that is for her silence. She goes in, she has the money, and she goes to Louise and Paulette, the servants who had been getting her ready in the beginning. And we find out that Maurice, the male servant, he has been sold to pay off the Baroness's debts.
Yes.
And he's now been sold to Cartier, who is going to ship him to America as a laborer. But he has been sold, and he's expected to be shipped out. And she's going to try to use the money to bring him back. Meanwhile, over breakfast, Marguerite is verbally abusing the staff. And when Danielle comes in, the only person who says good morning to her is Jacqueline, which I thought that was sweet. But anyways, Marguerite's a bitch. The Baroness is a bitch. And she immediately starts picking at her about her appearance. And Danielle does try to say, well, maybe if we bring Maurice back, maybe you can be mad at him instead of me, kind of a thing. And this is one of these, great moments of manipulation where the Baroness is telling her, I've kept you here, I have fed you, I have clothed you, and all I ask...
Full emotional abuse.
Yes, all I ask is that you help out around the house. Is that too much? No, of course not. So yes, this poor little girl, she's been emotionally abused.
Oh my God.
For the last 10 years.
And I gotta say, Drew Barrymore plays it really well, the amount of confusion on her face.
Yeah.
Sadly, of being abused, yeah, but also I know it's wrong, but also I believe you, but also it's wrong. It's a hard...
It's that belief that you can get people to believe of my existence needs to be redeemed by doing whatever you want me to do.
Yes. Yeah. And actually that plays on later too. And this is nothing to do with history, just the beautiful characterization in this movie. She makes a point later of all I wanted was for you to love me, basically. Mm-hmm. And it shows everything she did do that wasn't for herself was to try to make her happy. Her stepmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. She really tried.
And one of the things I did not include in my fun facts because I couldn't verify it 100%. It seems that Angelica Houston helped to rewrite some of the lines because originally her character was just outright cruel,
full abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but she played it, and you can see it in her facial expressions and her body language. That she does it in a more subtle, manipulative way.
No, I think this is even better because there are moments, and this is a total tangent, but there are moments like when the father dies, and when they're in the interlude between hearing about the mask ball and going to the mask ball when the Baroness is really excited about Marguerite going and becoming queen, and she's Danielle, come here, and they kind of have a moment.
Yeah, a very, very
and she was
brief.
did you love my father? that whole scene.
Yeah.
Where, like, you can see on Angelica Houston's face, she's, like, playing it like there's true emotion there.
Yeah. And
then she totally fucks it. Like,
right. It's like it's almost like she gets uncomfortable with like, oh, we're having an emotional moment, and then
I have to kill this.
Yeah,
right?
And she just says something incredibly cruel.
Yeah, it's like, but you have such you look just like, I see your father in you, and you have such a masculine features.
No wonder you're built for hard labor.
No, yeah, so she totally destroys it. I like that because it does show that abusers are human as well. That's not an excuse. I'm saying abusers are human as well because that's why they're so insidious.
Yeah.
I will throw in here, just while I'm here in this moment, that, we did see Danielle's father giving her the book Utopia. If this is the case, then they got like a 20-year early copy. I
laughed when Birdy texted me the original rough draft of her notes.
If we were to believe that the movie takes place in 1516, which is the adult, when Danielle is 18, she must have gotten an extremely early copy of Utopia by Thomas More, because 1516 was 2 years before Leonardo da Vinci's death, and Thomas More's, his book, Utopia, just came out in England, and it was written in Latin.
I know what happened. Her father's a proofreader.
Oh.
Ta-da! Okay. Explanation.
So, and he can read Latin as a merchant. Lowly merchant.
Yep, absolutely.
It's possible. I can't say it's not possible.
I mean...
But it's probably improbable.
And since he's not super educated being a merchant, that's why it took him 20 years to proofread it. Wait, he's dead. Never mind.
He's dead.
Well, never mind that theory.
Because it wasn't until like the 1550s that it came out in France in French. Anyway, so we're in this very weird nebulous timeline.
Henry, on the other hand, he has taken off on their horse. And as he's riding through the woods, he sees a group of men, and they're robbing this old man and his two terrified servants, I guess. I don't know. Like, you never see them talk, and they look very strange. I don't know. Ransacking through their stuff, and one of them grabs this big metal canister, and he takes off with it, and the old man really freaks out, and the royal guard is coming, so everybody starts running. And the old man stops Henry, and he says, please go after him. He's got it. No, they'll help you. I have to go.
My painting.
Yes, he goes, this is my life. So he goes after him. And I do love, like, Henry's on horseback. This other man's not, but all of a sudden he must have had a horse in reserve somewhere.
Yeah, because he's on a horse.
Yeah, he all of a sudden comes up on a horse and just fucking cracks Henry across the face with this canister.
I just kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like, he just fully, like, purse whipped him. Like.
I love Henry's reaction is... ugly peasant bastard.
Yeah, how dare you?
So, anyways, he does catch up to him, and they end up falling down this hill and into a lake. And you don't never see. He does show up later, but the other guy, he just, I don't know, swims away, I guess. But because only Henry and the painting resurface. But he takes it back to the old man, and when he takes it out and he unrolls it, it's the Mona Lisa.
Yes. Very obviously.
And this
in perfect condition.
In perfect condition, yes. And this movie has a lot of wonderful one-line moments, and the captain of the guard, Laurent, is telling Henry, Signor da Vinci is here. He's going to be staying at the palace. And Henry gets very excited. He is an admirer of da Vinci. And I love Leonardo da Vinci. And da Vinci says, Michelangelo was trapped under a ceiling in Rome. I'm just a second choice. I fucking love that
Which is kind of true, actually.
I mean, yeah.
Because I think Michelangelo, Raphael, and Leonardo da Vinci were all contemporaries of each other.
I don't know.
Which is hard to think about, but they are.
They're
all Renaissance painters, and they all like rivaled each other.
Okay.
Yeah, so King Francis I did ask Michelangelo to come to France first, sending agents to recruit him, but he resisted, and that's why they went with Leonardo da Vinci. That's
Poor
hilarious.
Leonardo.
That's hilarious. Okay. Yeah, they all fought each other, and they were all like really pissed. Michelangelo like hated Raphael because Raphael was a better painter.
Oh, okay. So they were really catty about it.
Oh, they were. I'm gonna slot another podcast, Betwixt the Sheets through History Hit. They talk about this because they were deciding whether Raphael was a fuckboy, which he was not actually. But in this podcast episode, they talked about the rivalry between these Renaissance painters.
Raphael's a himbo.
Yeah, a little bit. No, he actually was not a fuckboy. He actually just liked one lady a lot, actually.
Okay.
So, but everyone wanted him, so apparently he was very good looking.
All right.
Anyway.
They bring the horse back to the house, and he explains that he had borrowed it that morning and that he scared one of the servants. He doesn't rat her out, which I appreciate. He doesn't tell her that, she chucked apples at him.
No.
But this is where we see Marguerite. She's got this like gaudy ass brooch, whatever.
Yeah.
She's trying to get his attention. And I love Jacqueline. She's putting a feather in her hair. And when he notices the brooch and comments on it, she takes it out of her hair and she starts shoving it down her, like the front of her dress.
God, the humor of this movie is way more than I remember it being.
I love it. She's so funny.
Good. And then you see the footman.
Oh, the captain guy?
This is when he first noticed him.
Yeah.
No, when he first noticed her.
Yeah. I love Melanie Linsky. She's fucking amazing. Danielle has taken the money and she is going to try to get Maurice back, but because she won't be able to explain a servant having all this money, she's going to dress up as a courtier. And she goes to her friend Gustave, who is an artist apprentice, and he has a dress that it looks like you can see in the painting that whoever the artist is depicting, this must be a dress that she puts on when she comes to do the work. But anyways, so Danielle borrows this dress, and I want to say that I think Gustav is her gay best friend.
I think they're kind of vaguely implying, but he does not check enough boxes for me as being fully gay, but he definitely is coded a bit.
A little bit.
With the hair. Oh, let's fix your hair.
Yes, he
let's
does
do
her,
this.
and it's the way, let's do something about that hair.
Yes, the way
about the way he says it.
I actually have like a note is he supposed to be gay? Because he doesn't tick all the boxes, which is good.
Right.
He's not stereotyped.
No.
If he's meant to be gay, he's not stereotyped, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So he's just he is a good bestie.
Yes. And he is absolutely a ride or die best friend, which you find out later.
Yes.
But he is trying to talk her out of it because he thinks it's dangerous.
Which it is.
It is. It's very dangerous. But
let's not kid. It could get you killed.
Yes.
For real.
And she takes the money in the dress. She gets there just as Maurice is being loaded into this like iron, like caged carriage thing.
Yeah. Being carted away. She stops the driver and tells him, she has the money to pay the debt. And he's telling her it's too late. He's already been sold. And she starts telling him off and demanding that he release him. And this guy like bends down, like gets in her face and screams at her. But Henry has just gotten there. I keep wanting, every time somebody's like coming up on a horse, I'm trying not to say he pulled up. I mean, he pulled up on a horse.
He pulled up on a horse. Yeah. But so he pulls up and immediately goes after this guy for, yelling at a lady.
Yeah.
And he asked, what's going on? Well, I'm supposed to take these men to be shipped off. Danielle is trying to point out that they're not really thieves. They're not criminals because they've the way that they've been raised.
She's using philosophy from Utopia by Thomas More to address the situation.
I had this speech written down because I was going to ask you to do it in your fancy voice.
Oh, I could do it in my fancy voice.
He asks Danielle to explain her stance that they should not be punished. And now Birdy is going to tell her in her best fancy voice, she's going to give us Danielle's speech.
If you suffer your people to be ill-educated and their manners corrupted from infancy, and then punish them for those crimes to which their first education disposed them, what else is to be concluded, sire, but that you first make them thieves and then punish them? Thank you.
Thank you, Birdy. And the king is obviously impressed, and he orders...
The prince, he's not the king.
Oh, yet. That's right. Yeah, Dad's not dead yet. The prince is very impressed, and he orders the man let go. And I do like, this is such it's not an important thing, but I love it. When Maurice gets out, the first thing he says to her is, I thought I was looking at your mother.
Aww.
And that just always makes me tear up a little.
Yeah. Which, speaking of, I'll just cut in here. I am so confused on whether her mother's meant to be an actual countess.
I don't
It's very confusing.
think so.
I've seen so many things either way.
Yeah.
Was Nicole de Lancre a countess or not? Because... So, a comtesse, as they say in the movie, is a countess. It's just French. But then later on, Rudmilla, the Baroness, scolds her for giving her a title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, doesn't she make a comment about, like, and you're giving your mother...
something about it being ridiculous making your mother...
Yeah. Okay. So she does say that. But then, like... I see throughout, like, a lot of the discourse on this movie that she was nobility, and she just, because that's how she had the really expensive wedding dress and shoes. So she had to come from wealth.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they were wealthy and just not noble.
Right. But, I mean, technically, the father did marry a baroness, so why didn't he marry a countess in the first place? But... it's really hard. But she wouldn't be. But the thing is, in this time in France, and this is all relevant because in this time historically, it really wouldn't matter if she came from a county or a barony. Both these women, Nicole de Lancre and Rumilla de Ghent, once they married Auguste de Barbarac, they would technically forfeit their titles if they had any other male relatives that would have taken on the county and the barony. I know, it's ridiculous. But Nicole, if she married him, if she had any brothers, if she had anybody else, he would have become the count.
Gotcha.
If she had, okay, let me say this again. If she had no brothers, if her father was dead, and she was technically the heir of the countess, she would become the countess. Her husband would have become a count.
Okay.
Because he would have been marrying into that.
Gotcha.
Same with the barony. The baroness, in reality, would not be a baroness by herself. He, Auguste, would have become a baron.
Okay, so she must have married into it then.
So she must have previously married into it.
Okay.
And then there were no male relatives. The very rare chance that there were no male relatives, she married into the barony. She inherited the title because she only had daughters. But then Auguste would have become the baron because she married again.
I'm suddenly thinking about in Downton Abbey when Thomas is talking to the Dowager Countess and he says something about not making sense, and she says, if you're looking to make sense, you don't look among the upper nobility.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think there's some mixed reality here. Okay. I just wanted to point that out as a note of historical reference. If anyone out there can correct me or validate, please do. But a noblewoman marrying lower risked tainting the family bloodline. And, it just didn't happen much. Okay? Because even a woman, if she was free, if she were to marry a slave, she became a slave. All right? Like, that's the type of times it was.
Okay.
The woman took on the role of her man, and if she was above, she'd give the role of her man the title.
Okay.
Depending.
When Danielle tries to leave, the prince is following her, and he's trying to ask her, who are you? I've never seen you before, and are you from around here? Oh, no, I'm staying with a cousin. What cousin? Who? My cousin.
Yeah, I love
Which one? The only one I have.
The only one I have.
Which I love. All right.
She's very clever.
Yes, very clever.
She's answering the question, but not answering the question. Yeah.
And he tells her that he admires her for quoting Thomas More, for quoting from Utopia.
Yeah, he knew who it was.
And she's very happy at first, but then he tells her that he found it sentimental and dull. Yeah. And how he found it very boring to read about, he calls them everyday rustics.
Yeah.
And this is, obviously talking about the working class, the common people, peasants.
Yeah.
And she very politely tells him to fuck off and, tells him, these are the people who make your country.
Yeah.
And you should respect them.
Which definitely back in that day, would not be something coming out of anyone's mouth.
No.
Unless you were a scholar. But it's pretty cool to kind of show that here. Because I feel like even today we could hear that a bit more.
Yeah.
We should all be reading Utopia. But yeah, it was pretty cool. So
I do have a note that I think he has a shame kink.
Oh, right?
Because, he gets even more into her at this point.
Yeah, the more she bashes him, the more he's like, ooh, hi. Yeah.
And he's still begging her for a name, and this is when she gives him her mother's name, Nicole de Lancre.
And the way she says it, too, is not even a lie. The only name I can leave you with is Nicole de Lancre.
Yep.
She doesn't even say it's her name. She just says the only name I can leave you with.
Yep. And I love when there's such a sweet little scene where her and Maurice get home, and...
Oh, I love this.
His wife Louise sees him. She drops the shovel. She's crying, and this old woman picks up her skirts and runs across this field. It's wonderful. And he sees her and points her out and starts running. And it kind of made me think. I had a few years where I worked in a nursing home. Yeah. And you could tell the couples that were like, man, y'all got sick of each other a long fucking time ago. And then the ones that were absolutely still in love. And that's what that is. I mean, they're still in love, and it's just the sweetest thing. And
it was very sweet.
Yeah.
And you don't see that much in movies. You don't see old couples loving each other.
Yeah.
And that made me tear up. That of all the scenes in the movie, I think that was the only one, really one of the only ones that made me tear up, because that was great. Yeah.
And I don't know exactly if Paulette is related to them or not, but anyways, it's just this nice scene. He has Louise and then Paulette and Danielle, and you do see that this is her family now.
Yeah, that's her family.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. So I'll come in here with just a little bit on Utopia by Thomas More. It was published in 1516, basically when in England, when this movie is basically taking place. And it was introduced to France through the first French translation, which was published in 1550. So this was 34 years after the book's initial publication in Latin in 1516, and was translated by a different person, Jean Leblond. And just as a context note, King Francis I, the father we see in this movie, died in 1547 before the book actually came to France. So just pointing that out there. So this book was done by Sir Thomas More. If you remember our first episode, The Other Boleyn Girl, which took place also during this time, basically contemporaries of these folks. He was a scholar in King Henry VIII's court. Actually, one of King Henry VIII's best friends until King Henry VIII chopped his head off.
Yeah.
Later on. That's a story for another time, but yeah. Thomas More talks about, in this book, a fictional island society with an ideal political system, social harmony, and religious tolerance, which coined the term utopia, which actually meant no place. So basically saying this place doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
But that's what a utopia means. No place.
Okay.
But through this traveler's tale, it satirizes European society by presenting a communist-like system with communal property, no greed, and universal education.
What?
Yeah, while exploring themes like social justice, women's rights, and the nature of a perfect state. It's a foundational text in political philosophy and humanism, contrasting with real-world injustices, which Thomas More observed, such as enclosure and poverty. So yeah, it's just talking about like how we could live together in peace.
Do you think we can send this to Congress?
I don't know. Maybe we should send them a copy.
Send it to the White House.
Mm-hmm. So obviously this was socio-political satire, presented as dialogue with a traveler named Raphael Hythloday. I don't know if that means anything. I'm sure it does. I just talked about all that. So the legacy of this work is that it's European humanism and influenced by political thought, and actually spawned the concept of utopia and its opposite, dystopia, which is where we're living at now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what we're living in today.
Check the timeline.
Yeah, check that timeline. So yeah, that's a little bit on Utopia by Thomas More.
Okay. Henry, now home at the palace, he goes in to see the king, and he basically gets grounded. He tells him he's not to leave. And he's telling him that you're going to marry the Spanish princess. And Henry's, what what the hell are you going to do about it? And I love his dad says, I'll simply deny you the crown and live forever.
I love that so much.
Great plan.
It's a very king move, honestly.
And Henry's telling him that he doesn't want any part of this marriage. And I think this is a later scene, but the king tells him that he's going to make a deal. He's going to give a masked ball in 5 days. He has 5 days to find a woman he wants to marry, and he can announce it at the ball. If not, then the king will announce the Spanish marriage. And this is when the queen tells him, choose wisely. Divorce is only something they do in England.
Which is I'll just quickly say, is a sly nod to King Henry VIII, who's across the channel. During this time, I'm not even sure he's met Anne Boleyn yet, but I
don't think so.
He's still married to Catherine of Aragon in this time.
He's going to fuck all that up.
1533 is coming real fast. But that's what they're nodding to, but it hasn't happened yet.
Back at the house, the Baroness and her daughters, they are looking for a dress. They have received the invitation for the ball. And Marguerite, she's being, spoiled child about it. She doesn't want to wear any of her dresses. She needs something that's going to stand out and catch the prince's attention. So the Baroness takes her to another room, and they get out this beautiful white and silver gown. And then we see the slippers from the start of the movie, and she tells her daughters that these were Danielle's mother's. This was her wedding dress, and this is supposed to be part of Danielle's dowry.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacqueline points out, well, maybe she wants to wear them. And the Baroness and Marguerite, why the hell would she go? And she tries to stick up for her and say, it did say to the ladies of the house, but they don't consider her family, so they don't consider her as part of the house.
Right.
Danielle walks in while they are looking at the dress and asks, what they're doing. And this is another one of those manipulative moments where they try to pass it off as, oh, we're airing your dress out for the ball. And she's, you want me to go? And again, the manipulation of, of course we want you to go. And the Baroness says, it hurts me that you don't think of yourself as one of my daughters.
God. And
she looks confused, and Jacqueline, she just tosses the shoes down and she leaves, and it's kind of in disgust of what, they've lied to her and what she's saying to her. But Marguerite tries to, she doesn't want you to go.
Oh my God. Which also confuses her because, she knows Danielle's not stupid, and
she knows that Jacqueline is not like that.
Usually been nicer.
Yeah.
I'll throw in that why this scene seems so it's just a dress. Well, no. Even though it's it's my mother's wedding dress, it's the dowry. And especially during this time, today we don't, at least in America, we don't really have dowries. We hope that you come together and you just bring what you bring, right?
I brought a toaster.
But a woman's dowry during this time was everything you had, right? What you took to a marriage was literally what you had. You couldn't go back and get more. That was what you had. You came with yourself and whatever your father sent with you, or your brother, or whatever male relative had control of you at the time. So you'll miss it here, but this dress, those shoes, were everything a woman from her family had at that time. Especially since her father had passed and there were no brothers present. That is all she had. If she could not claim the land, which obviously she couldn't because Rudmilla had control of the land, then objects and money were all she had, and she had no money. So this dress was it. And that book, honestly. Those were the only things that were associated just to her, because that was her mother. And that would be her dowry, and also burning that book.
Oh, God.
Regardless of the context in this time, burning any book was burning a wad of cash.
Yeah, this is before, I think, printing presses.
No, the printing presses existed at this time, but it still was really expensive.
Okay.
A book at that time could be half the cost of buying a house, certain books.
Damn.
Or several weeks' wages of a merchant.
Mm-hmm.
It was...
Well, and we do
very expensive.
We do see later at the monastery, the monks are transcribing books.
Yeah, this was kind of that transition period. The Gutenberg press had come out, but regular stuff was still happening too.
Well, I know even when they were doing book pressings, even at that point, they still went in and illustrated the margins.
Yeah, it was still a whole process.
It was still absolutely a piece of art.
Yeah, so burning a book, she's pissed about money, and she's, we'll come to find out is selling a bunch of shit for money. Not much of a spoiler there, really.
No.
Rudmilla. And so Marguerite throwing that book, she just threw away you could have sold that book for like a good chunk of cash. It just is ridiculous. So like, yeah, to our sensibilities, it's like, you know,
I only thought about it from the sentimental view. So.
Well, yes, which was significant.
Right. But I didn't even think about it from a financial.
But even in my sentimental brain, I'm like, yes, that was that specific copy. In today's, you could at least get another copy of that book and at least have like the words, even if you don't have the same physical thing. She can't even do that.
Yeah.
Technically. She can't even do that. She can't even just go out and get another book, a copy. So, yeah. Anyway, that's what I got on that.
Yeah. Henry is hanging out at the lake with Da Vinci, and he's getting...
just hanging at the lake with Da Vinci.
You know, having a barbecue, brought some chips, subs. But he's getting kind of... I guess you would say philosophical.
A little bit.
But, you know, like, oh, do you believe in soulmates? Well, what about if, you know, that person dies and you meet another second person? Your actual soulmate? And it's like, dude, you're thinking way too much about this.
Way too hard on that. I mean, fun exercise, but also, like, no.
Like, you can see, like, Da Vinci's like, shut up. But anyways, Da Vinci has these boat shoes.
They're literal boats.
Yep. And I fucking love this scene. So Danielle, she's off a little ways. She is digging for truffles and decides to take a swim in the lake. And she's floating on her back just as Da Vinci walks up on these goddamn boat shoes, looks down at her and says, "Looks like rain." And she rightfully flips the fuck out in the middle of the water. I mean, that was a real
scream. Yes. Like, she did that perfect.
Out in the middle of the goddamn lake and a man is standing above you. I would have lost my fucking mind. I love that scene so much. And the boat shoes were something that Leonardo did sketch in his Codex Atlanticus. So it's an invention that he at least illustrates in there, and so this didn't come out of nowhere. Okay. I don't know if they were real, but there was a sketch that existed that they based this off of. Yeah. They get back to the shore, and Henry, obviously, he's very excited to see Nicole, Danielle. He's very excited to see her again. And they end up having this great conversation where she's pointing out he has privilege, but he doesn't realize that he can use that privilege to do good things.
And you know what? I just realized this was a privilege conversation in the late 90s before privilege conversations were a thing.
Right. And and when I was thinking about it, when I was making the notes, I was like, you know, this would be like a great opener for the people that don't believe in white privilege, but they're still not going to believe it.
They're not going to believe it. No. But this is like, it's been there, people. Yeah. They just use different language.
Yeah. But she is trying to point out to him that he can use these things for good. But Jacqueline's calling her. She kind of has to, you know, dip out. And Da Vinci is, you know, trying to bring out his kite. Nope, I gotta go by. And that night at dinner, Marguerite is talking about, you know, well, who's this Comtesse that everybody's talking about? And we also, this is when we find out that things have been coming up missing throughout the house. And she, and like Birdy said, this is not really any kind of a spoiler. We do find out later that the Baroness has been selling these household items, but she's blaming it on the staff.
And stealing their wages.
Yep, she's going to dock their wages until the items appear.
I mean, she plays it for real, but also like, what?
But they absolutely know, because Danielle calls her on it later.
Yeah.
So that's a rough fucking place to be.
Yeah. Quick little bit on Leonardo da Vinci. So again, we're basing this story in 1516. Leonardo da Vinci actually passed away in 1519, but he was in the court of King Francis I. He joined that court in 1515. So right in this time frame, but he passed away there at the age of 67. So
I just realized something. So, like, if we're thinking of parallel timelines, then this would have been the point where Anne Boleyn was in France. Because I know that there's a theory. It's obviously not.
No, she was.
Okay. I know that it's absolutely not a solid thing, but there is a theory that one of Da Vinci's sketches is of Anne Boleyn.
Holy shit.
But nobody knows for sure.
So yeah, Anne Boleyn was roughly in France between 1513 and 1521. So exactly in this timeline, Anne Boleyn could be standing in that court as Danielle's walking through it.
I love this stuff.
This is why I love history. Like, look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
We get it. It's fictional, but let us enjoy
I know.
it.
This is the shit. Like, I mean, if you're going to bring in real people, which is Leonardo da Vinci, Francis I, Henry II, you're bringing real people in. Like, obviously, and I'll get to it later, like Queen Marie, not a real person. That's the person that's not real. Because at this time, Queen Claude was the queen, or had at least passed, like, she passes away fairly early on, but yeah, I think she was still around at this time. Queen Claude was his wife at this time, and then she passes away, and then there's Queen Eleanor.
Oh, okay.
But there was no Queen Marie. And I don't even think I don't think Francis I was that old at this time. So yeah, anyway.
Also at this dinner, we find out through Jacqueline that the prince went to the king and asked him to release all of the prisoners that were being shipped to America, and the king did. And now anyone who's being sent to the Americas has to be paid a compensation. I have no idea if that's something that actually happened, but at least in the story of this universe, that is something, and this is because of Danielle or Nicole's influence.
Yeah. Really?
I love that. He didn't.
He didn't. Hi, everyone. This is Birdy. I hate to interrupt, but due to the very lengthy nature this episode is taking, I'm going to have to do an intermission. And we've just had so much fun with this episode, and we'll have to get back to you next time. We just had so much fun with this episode that I didn't want to cut so much out. But please stay tuned, and thank you for listening. So next week, there will be a holdover little bitty episode or something, and then we'll have part 2 the following week, and then we will follow with the juicy outtake episode. So thank you again so much for listening, and we really appreciate you, and see you next time.